All right. Here we are once again. I literally just tried to record and screwed it up. I swear, something is not wanting me to record this. But here we are. Wendy and I are sitting here at midnight trying to record this audio that messed up on the original recording. So you guys can get the full episode. And, yeah. So...
Get into it, man.
I know. So after we've recorded all these episodes, do you feel like you're learned up and ready to go on this subject?
I mean, I'm down to clown. I'll pick up and I'll contribute, where I feel like I have something good to say.
You should be like a fucking encyclopedia by now. Anyway, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tell my story again. You're not gonna get the full episode. If you wanna go back and see what we started with, the first episode is I'm just gonna leave it up, and the bonus episode would be the parts that we messed up, so that you can check it out. But I'm going to reread my story or my notes and get us into the situation, and then hopefully we can build. And my key idea is to build this whole narrative and round it off into one big beautiful bow by the end. And my idea is to create this 3-part series to open it up with a huge bang. Probably sounds a lot better in my head than it's going to turn out, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, so what we're doing is I have decided to start the series off in the biggest way possible, and I want to give a history of how people and civilization has perceived Satanism and evil within, and how it pertains to everyday society, and how pop culture and subcultures have paved the way to alter how we think about these situations or these entities or these beings. Because when you watch TV and you watch Ghost Hunters and all these shows, all you see is this place is a demon, this place is demonic, this place has Satan, we believe Satan's here walking around, and it's
Portal to Hell.
Yes, exactly. Portal to Hell. This show was literally called Portal to Hell. I love Jack Osbourne, by the way. It was a cool show. But the thing is, not everywhere is exactly like that. They just... Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But you see where I'm wanting to go with this. So, anyway, what I want to do right now is give you a little history of where our modern-day ideology of Satan and demons come from. And so we're going to go back to ancient Persia, or modern-day Iran. Anyway, the origin of Satan comes in the form of Zoroastrianism, which is a religion. It's one of the world's oldest religions. Like I said, it comes from ancient Persia or modern-day Iran. It was founded by the prophet Zarathustra, and he believed he received message from Ahura Mazda, who is the supreme god of light. Now, I want to point out that it's interesting that going through this, they use metaphors like God of light, fire, and fire is purity. These things that we signify or identify with modern day religion in different ways. So all the elements are already there. They just have to be folded and put together and formed into the way that we see them today. But this religion, this Zoroastrianism, by the way, I'm not a linguist. I'm terrible at saying this, so if I say something wrong, don't at me. I'm doing the best I can, but I'm trying. But anyway, it is a monotheistic religion, which means that they have one God. They only believe in one supreme being. There's polytheistic and monotheistic, and poly is the ones that have the multiple gods, multiple entities, similar to like Romans, Greeks. Modern day Wiccans believe in polytheists. But anyway, this religion was a monotheistic religion. And they were also believed in dualism, which is the cosmic battle between good and evil. And so, as you can already see, it's starting to form it's the building blocks to form what we think of as modern day Christianity. Now, once Christianity comes around, you have these situations where, as people were organizing this religion and turning it into something that people would worship, they have to start to set the boundaries. And so they would pull from different religions and say, well, your religion does this, our religion also does this, and it was a way to pull people who are pagans or people who don't have the same belief system into your belief system to help your congregation grow. And in fact, a big one that's coming up is Easter, which is from Ostera. Yeah, see, there's a lot of things you can look at with Easter that's drawn from pagans: the hare, the egg, and the. In fact, the way that Easter is determined is by the full moon. In fact, it happens because the Easter is based on the first full moon after the spring equinox, which is why Easter moves every year. It can go anywhere from between March 20th into April, late April. So Easter moves around, and it's based on the moon, which is based on all pagan religions. And so you can see, like, Christianity itself is pulling from all these other religions and stuff to make it more relatable to the people who are not Christian. But anyway, back to this. So, monotheistic dualism, good and evil. The followers must choose between good and evil. So it's like when you go to church today, a Christian or somebody would say, I choose to be this good person, or I choose to be this bad person, and each one has consequences or rewards, just depending on how you choose. In this religion, fire is a symbol of purity, which I think is interesting because you think of the devil or Satan, you think of fire and brimstone, purgatory, somebody who's hurting, being burned alive. That's what I've been told in churches that I've been to. But in this religion, they look at fire as a way to as a cleansing process and not a way to bring you down or hurt you. Now, after death, the souls cross what's called the Chinrat, Chinrat, Shinray. I don't exactly know how to say it, so I'm going to give it a shot. Bridge. And the deeds. So when you go across this bridge, it determines paradise or suffering. So it's kind of like going up to the pearly gates and saying, "Hey, St. Peter, do I get into here? Am I sit back down to
Is my name
to the
on the
devil?"
list?
Exactly. Their holy book is called the Aresta. It's an early influence on Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and there's largely concepts of heaven, hell, angels, and final judgment. So all the elements are there, all the building blocks. This religion is like it's like a fucking Lego set. Jesus Christ, for modern day religion. And so, all the elements are there, and basically once Christianity comes around, they say, well, everything's already in place. We're just going to basically take everything from this religion that seems pretty cool, but we don't want a different name, and we're going to take it over here, put it in this little book, and we're going to call it our own, and steal all your ideas. So that being said, now that religion is formed, I thought it'd be kind of cool to look at where you first see like Satan, where he's actually originates in the Bible. There's a couple scriptures where it physically talks about him. There's not a whole lot. There's some inference. People today have kind of made their own inference or ideas of what they think it's actually saying. But the first time Satan actually appears in the Bible is in the book Numbers 22:22, which I think the repetition of the numbers is interesting because usually in numerology, repetition of numbers represents angels. But this scripture, and I'm going to read the actual scripture to you because I think it's kind of cool to see what it actually says. Now it says, Balaam's departure aroused the wrath of Elohim, and the angel of Yahweh stood in the road as a Satan against him. Now, that's an interesting statement because it's not saying that Satan himself is standing in a road, but that an angel of God was standing in the road as a Satan. And the original translation of Satan from Judaism actually means a adversary or a hindrance or to push back. It doesn't actually mean like an entity. And so you get this first scripture is saying that they're acting as a Satan against against Balaam. Okay, so in Job 1 and 2, Satan actually appears among the angels and is called the son of... Wait. In Job 1 and 2, appears among angels, calls sons of God to accuse Job of acting with high integrity. So in here, he's part of the group of angels. It's one of the first times that because you always hear the stories of Satan being the fallen angel, the angel with the burnt wings. You know, he was the highest of high, the highest archangel. Well, now you hear the first scripture where it actually talks about him being with the angels. And his job was to go out and to basically, administer the wrath of God. In the first Chronicles 21:1, the generic term Satan appears as a name. It's the very first time that the entity is actually called Satan. They actually refer to him as Satan, not as an adversary. And in Isaiah 14:12, it says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?" See, and there you get the reference of him actually falling from heaven. They call him Lucifer, and when it says the son of the morning, I always think of the morning star as a reference to Satan. So that's an interesting scripture as well. And then finally, in Revelations 12:9, he's referred to as a dragon and an ancient serpent. But he's not he hasn't formed into that demon with horns and goat feet and pitchfork and red skin or anything like that. He's more of just like a beast. I think they even actually, don't they say he's a beast with many backs who carries his children and spews his sins or his sons onto the earth?
Yeah, I've heard that, but I've always heard that Satan or Lucifer was the most beautiful angel.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he got cast from heaven, the way he lured people away from God and towards him was through beautiful things, such as it may be like your video games. You don't go to work, so you sit around playing games all day. He pulls you through him through just things you desire.
So he's a manipulative trickster.
Yes,
that kind of fits the bill. He definitely is manipulative. When you pull the devil card from tarot, it's a lot of it has to do with ego, self-worth, and it can even be a trickster or a manipulative card, a manipulation of things that are going on in your life. Now, it's believed to be other references of people where I said people kind of infer that they believe Satan is in the Bible, where it doesn't actually say, but if you talk to people in religion, they're like, yeah, this is Satan. So it's believed that he's in the Garden of Eden tempting Eve to eat the apples. And like I said before, Satan comes from the Hebrew word, which is ha-satan, I think that's right, ha-Satan, ha-satan, which means opposer or adversary. His angelic name was Samuel, which means wrath or venom of God. Now, so Satan doesn't take on his appearance that we know today until medieval times. In medieval artwork, he started to appear as an animalistic beast with horns, hooves, tail, and wings, often resembling a goat or a dragon, which he still kind of resembled a dragon in the Bible. He did have that kind of serpentine type figure to him. His girlish figure just hadn't formed into its hose yet. But his famous depiction comes from John Milton in 1667. I think that's funny because it's so close to 666. But it comes from a poem called Paradise Lost, it's two short poems. And one poem deals with the fall of man, and the other one deals with the fall of an angel. And once the most beautiful of all angels, Lucifer rebels against God and becomes Satan, the adversary. So that's where that comes from. You were talking about, Wendy, where he's the most beautiful of all angels.
Yes.
It comes from that story of Paradise Lost, and before that, it was never mentioned. And so an author, a poet, someone who a fabulist writes these two poems, sonnets, stories. And you start to see this ideals of how Satan is perceived through pop culture, it's like the subconscious like draws from what's written and just automatically makes it real. They manifest how Satan is perceived from this story. That's just that. It's a story, and even farther on than that, you have like Dante's Inferno, which starts talking about the 7 layers of hell. You actually get that's where you start to get like the fire and brimstone and his band of demons, so to speak. So I think that's the whole point of what I'm trying to say is this has helped building that narrative to where even though it's never actually mentioned, these things just keep popping up and they sort of like build on this narrative of what it's supposed to be and how he's supposed to be perceived in our lives and perceived in our culture and how he affects us as we go forward, living our lives. And that's kind of what I want to explore. And so I think on the next time we're going to talk about the Satanic Panic. This happened between the 70s and 80s, even into the 90s. But there was some stepping stones that kind of like leads the way into like the Satanic Panic. And so I'm going to explore like the backstory, just like I've done with this. Where did it come from? How did it build into what it became? And we'll see how that it actually starts to affect people's lives. I mean, people were taking what they see, as entertainment and turning it into like personal damnation and purgatory and murder, and it's a whole thing. But we're gonna get into all of it. Wait, you got anything else to say?
I don't.
Okay. Oh, well, we'll save this for the next time. We'll talk about it later. Yeah. So I hope this. I'm sorry, this little bonus episode was kind of like raw. We've got our little field kit out. We're not really filming with our recording with our full podcasting gear. So this is just kind of like a little bonus episode. I thought I would try to like at least record the parts that you couldn't hear so that you could get like the full episode. It was really bothering me that I didn't have like an actual full first episode for you guys to listen to. So here you go. And you get this little bonus episode, and maybe it'll feel a little complete, and you'll come back and join us for the second part. I hope so, because
Satanic Panic.
because we're building a narrative. I have this huge grand scheme in my head of how I want it to turn out. But anyway, follow us on social media. Right now, I'm just on Facebook, only because it's easiest. At the Hauntological Society Podcast. I am on YouTube under the same name, though I haven't posted anything on there yet. I've got some ideas of things I'm going to post on there, so just stay tuned. I'm going to start working my way around all this stuff once we get going. You can send me emails at the Hauntological Society Podcast at gmail.com. Send me your ideas, thoughts, questions, any kind of like, if you have a haunting in your house, maybe send me some, if you have questions, like how do I deal with this, or what do you think this could be? Because as we go forward, I'd like to see us explore like how we perceive these hauntings and what they really might be. Not everything is a demon, so maybe we can get some fresh eyes and figure out what's actually going on, and maybe help some people out along the way. Trying to remember if there's anything else. Winnie, is there anything I'm missing here?
I can't think so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to rate and review us. Every time you rate and review us, it allows us to be heard by more people. And so we really depend on the ratings and reviews to grow the podcast, because that's what we want to do. Ultimately, the goal is to keep this going. I know we're just number 1 and 1.5, but
sound like we're rambling.
I know. It's late. I'm tired. Fuck it. We're out of here. All right. Thanks.